Hayden Yost just went yard. And there he goes, his third homer of the game, and it was a bomb.
It really was a bomb, Pat.
3 homers in one game. I
I
mean,
know.
you don't expect that. I
Well,
guess
isn't he the number 9 hitter, Pat?
number 9 hitter. There are 8, 9 hitters hit 5 homers together in that
Wow.
game. Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Meldon Law Studios at the Hacienda. Okay, welcome into another Duly Noted podcast brought to you by and always presented by Titan MRI and Imaging and coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Here at home today, we'll talk about this. Coach Spurrier is at the Hall of Fame tonight, and it was a miscommunication. It's probably my fault because I tend to miscommunicate more than anybody for a guy who's involved in communications. But the bottom line is he's not going to be here today. Last minute, tried to get several people, struggled with it. Robbie is going to go extended today, and he's happy to do that. And I love Robbie, and we'll just talk like we always do. We just like to talk about sports, and we be doing it in your living room. So we'll talk, and we'll do yes, no, where, maybe with him as well on Thursday, Blake Topmeyer from USA Today. We talked about that. We're going to talk college football with him. And I told you I was going to get Adam Sparks on next week, and we're going to do that next week, who covers Tennessee football. I just want to talk to him about where they are and where they are with Tennessee baseball, too. And there's a lot to talk about. And then I did want to say, I think it's June 10th, but anyways, next month is Jesse Palmer, and I cannot wait for that. I am excited about having Jesse on the podcast. That'll be a lot of fun. All right, before we get to the Money Medal starting 5, let us mention that Titan MRI and Imaging, we love our man Joe Calorio over there. And if you were watching the Preakness, you might have seen him. Yes, that's him top right there walking out the horse. He is involved in that horse. He and his wife are. And that horse finished second. So well done. I mean, so he finished first in the last one, in obviously the Derby, which is a big one. Second in the Preakness. We'll see what he does in the Belmont. I don't know which horse he's going to have for that one, but quite the horseman is Joe Calorio, and quite the man too, and one of my favorite people in the world. And we wanted to make sure we gave him a plug. All right, let us move to our Money Medals starting 5 right now. MoneyMedals.com is your home for gold and silver purchases, one of the largest distributors in all the United States. 2 Gator grads are running it, and you can reach them at 1-800-800-1865 or at MoneyMedals.com. Okay, let's start with softball. And of course, softball has advanced, survived and advanced, but they really didn't have to survive much. Mainly because Keegan Rothrock kind of found her mojo again. Now, I told everybody before this was going to be a soft regional, and I think it was. I think it worked out really well for Florida. Georgia Tech, who they played twice, was among the last 4 teams in. We talked about that. But Florida did what they needed to do. They hit the ball, they fielded the ball, they pitched the ball. Keegan Rothrock got 3 wins over the weekend. So it was great. And now, it was a hot day, but I wrote this in my column for Main Street Daily News. To say it was ridiculously hot would be to be an insult to July, because we know it's going to get hotter, but it was pretty hot. And I don't think people are very used to how hot it got over this weekend. But you could see everybody had rosy face, rosy cheeks, and they were sweating, and they poured water on a water bath for Keegan after the game, because she was this close to having a no-hitter. And again, the one hit was hit very hard to the wall double, and it scored a couple runs. So that got you a little nervous. But one hitter in the final game in a regional championship game, certainly impressive. Got 3 wins. I thought Shoemaker was great. I thought everybody was great, and I thought they played really good defense. Remember, we talked about that a lot, about how they were struggling so much with their defense because, and for no reason that I've ever heard. I mean, they just were struggling with it. But the bottom line is they played really well this weekend, and certainly was anytime you get off to the to a regional final, and you get to host. That's a good thing, and it's going to be fun. It's interesting to see what took place. I got to be honest with you, and I know that not everybody's wants to sit and watch softball. Not everybody has 3 TVs in their sports room, but I watched a lot of softball this weekend, and it was really interesting. I thought all the way through. Florida now will play Texas Tech, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I did want to mention that the SEC has 9 teams in. That ties the NCAA record, 9 teams into super regionals. Unfortunately, when you have that many teams in, there's only 16 spots. You're gonna have to play each other, but they're playing each other a lot. 3 games are about the SEC. Alabama, LSU are 3 regionals, super regionals. Oklahoma, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Georgia. To me, those are going to be really fascinating. The other teams that got in, of course, Arkansas, Florida, and Texas do have other teams to play. But the SEC, not surprisingly, showing its dominance. And every time I see that something like this happen, what was it, a couple of years ago, they got all but 1 team in. I just go back, and I wish I could remember which coach said this to me. But it was a coach of another team. It might have been UCLA. It might have been Arizona. I think it was Arizona, to be honest with you. Said, when the SEC gets serious about softball, they're going to dominate. And they have. Now, it helps getting Oklahoma and Texas over there, too. But it has been, it's been interesting to watch some of these games. Not only that, but I watched most of the UCF FSU game because I knew it was winner goes to Oklahoma City, and UCF won the game, for those of you who don't know. Certainly, I felt bad for Lonnie Alameda because she's going through a lot of health problems, but I never feel bad for FSU, the team, like I don't feel bad for LSU. That's going to be the hard thing this weekend. Alabama or LSU, who do you root for? Again, not all of you want to watch softball, but it's important. Anyway, let's move along to number 2 on our Money Medals starting 5. And that is what is coming up next for Florida softball, and that is Texas Tech. Very good team. Kind of surprising that they were an 11 seed, but they had some bad losses late. Their comeback on Friday, I got to get my days straight. On Friday was epic. They're down 8-0 in the bottom of the 7th. The game's over. I turned it off. I was texting Chris Harry, who was going to the softball game or had already been to the softball game, and saying, "Man, Ole Miss is smoking Texas Tech." Somehow they came back and won. I don't know. I mean, I wish I had seen the whole game, but I seen some of the highlights, but that doesn't do it justice. Anyway, and then they end up beating Ole Miss again, knocking Ole Miss out. But this is a really good team. Caitlin Terry, got to watch out for her. She's only hitting .469 with a 1.32 ERA. That sounds like Lauren Hager kind of stuff. That's why I go back to the day that the second national title that Florida won. I was there, and I wanted to get a story. I wanted to get a column that I could run if we got rain, or we had days off and stuff. So I started asking different coaches whether or not Lauren Hager was the best player to ever play. Because there's comparisons to Babe Ruth, because she was pitching and hitting. And they all kind of looked at me like I was an idiot. Lauren Hager's great. We got a lot of them like that. And they got a lot of them now. And she is one, Caitlin Terry, and so is Nyjah Canaday, who, of course, is the first $1 million softball player at for anybody at Texas Tech, and she's got an ERA of 1.44. So they'll see both of them. They are second in batting average, fourth in ERA. It feels like it's not going to happen for Florida, but it's at home. They do have a great crowd. Those people get into it. It's going to be hot, hopefully. Hopefully you don't get rain. Florida will play at 11 o'clock on ESPN2, and we'll give you that information again on Thursday, but it's an 11 o'clock game on ESPN2, and then the next game will be the 12:30 game on ABC. And then you don't know what the Sunday game's going to be if it's necessary. They got to wait and see who wins. So that's pretty cool. They get to play on ABC no matter what, and that'll be fun for the young ladies. And I hope they do well. This is a team that seems really together. They've had some struggles at times. Certainly, when they had those 4 straight games with giving up 9 runs or more, it was not good. But it seems to have settled down. Now, again, I don't know how good Texas State. Well, they never played Texas State, but Georgia Tech, like I said, was one of the last teams in, and they handled them. So it'll be you're stepping up in competition, but that's what you always do with super regionals. All right, let's move on to number 3 on our Money Medal starting 5, and that is what baseball did this weekend, which I enjoyed very much, and I'm sure that everybody at Money Medals enjoyed it as well. Sweeping LSU, and look, I had conversations with different people, Jeff Cardozo, people like that, and I would say, hey, I can see Florida sweeping them, and I can see Florida getting swept. And they all were like, yeah, I can see both things happening, either thing happening. But even when they won the first 2 games, I'm like, I don't know. But I watched it all, and they did sweep LSU. LSU cannot pitch. They're terrible in pitching, and I don't think this is a problem that they resolve right away. They ended up, the regular season, last in the SEC in earned run average. Boy, that's LSU we're talking about here. This is, like, I don't know, who's always considered to be bad in the SEC. Everybody's pretty good, but it's pretty amazing. And Florida took advantage of it. They took advantage of it, even though they didn't pitch. Liam Peterson pitched really well. Aiden King was okay. Obviously, Sandifer had another struggle, but they got to a point where it should have been okay, and then they're back into their bullpen because they tried some guys knowing they may want to use them in Hoover, but don't want to stretch out their good arms. Anyway, that's my take on it, and I think that's what Sully said too. Florida for the weekend hit 318 with 37 runs scored. That's a lot. 10 homers, including 5 from their number 8 and 9 hitters on Saturday. Florida now plays on Wednesday. It's going to be an interesting SEC tournament because there's several teams that could see their streaks in. LSU being one, Vanderbilt being one. Could see this. Vanderbilt's like 74th in RPI, and I think their strength of schedule non-conference is like 264 or something like that. So maybe because they're Vanderbilt and it's a Vandy boys, they sneak in, or maybe they have a big tournament. But we'll see. Again, Florida will play the winner of the Vanderbilt-Kentucky game on Wednesday. That game is on Tuesday, and of course all the games are on the SEC Network. We'll give them to you on the Swamp Games of the weekend, or the week, in just a minute. All right. Let's go to number 4 on our Money Medals starting 5, and that would be the PGA Championship, which to me got boring, and I can't really put my finger on why. It just got to a point where nobody was doing anything. And so it's all bunched up, and you're going, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be one of the great Sundays. And I didn't think it was. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll talk to Robbie about that. But it just felt like nobody's doing anything. Everybody's just trying to make pars, and that's what Rory said. That this course is set up for you to make a lot of pars if that's all you want. Rory doesn't like that. He didn't want that. He's trying to make birdies and eagles, and he got in trouble a little bit because maybe he should have ratcheted it down. But anyway, didn't win a major. Ooh, I'm so worried about him. But anyway, Aaron Rai wins, and it's a great story for a tournament that wasn't exciting. I don't know. I didn't like... The course was really good, really looked beautiful, and I liked watching the tournament. I watched it every day right up until the last part of Sunday. I just got bored with it. We had a dinner planned, my wife and I. We watched, did we watch a movie? We watched something. Oh, we watched Saturday Night Live. That's what we watched. Yeah. Because we hadn't watched it live and in person. All right. It is live, but anyway, that 68-footer he made could have been the play of the weekend, but I was going to stick with the Gators. That's just the way I am. really good story there, Aaron Wright, because, if you see he's got the head covers on his irons, and you see that and you go, and does your son play? I mean, these are for old people. I haven't seen that in years, but he does it because when he was young, he wanted to make sure they were covered because his parents didn't have a lot of money and were sacrificing to get him everything he needed to play golf, and helped him make him a good golfer. And so he paid him back. And the 2 gloves is a tribute to them as well. 2 gloves doesn't sound like a bad idea. I've worn 2 gloves once in my life playing a tournament at West End, another dead golf course. And it was the day after or the day before, I can't remember which it was, the storm of the century that came through here. And it was like 28 degrees and blowing hard. So I wore 2 gloves that day. I did not play well, just so you know. All right. Let's move on to number 5 on our Money Medals, starting 5, and that would be Steve and Christine Wendig present our Olympic Gator of the Weekend, brought to you by Steve and Christine Wendig from Boss Hart Realty. They do a wonderful job over there, and we appreciate their support of all these different athletes. I had a lot of choices, believe me. I could have gone with anything, but I am going with Gabriel Matthews from Florida's women's track team. Now, for those of you who don't know, Florida won the SEC in track over the weekend. They don't get a lot of credit for things, but they are very good, as they are very good at everything. But she, by the way, their 8th SEC championship under Mouse. She won the 100 meters and finished 4th in the 200. That's a lot of points to get for a team. I think Florida ended up with 107. I think right away that would be like, 15, 14, somewhere in there. So that was important. Florida gets the Triple Crown. Now, the Triple Crown is you win the cross country, you win the indoor meet, you win the outdoor meet. That is the Triple Crown of the SEC. And as Mike Holloway said afterwards, it is elite to win the Triple Crown. I believe him, and I congratulate them. Salute. Steve and Christine Wendig, salute. They appreciate you as well. All right, that's going to do it for our first segment. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined for an extended segment with the great Robbie Andreu and a Yes, No, Where, Maybe as well. Also, our Campus USA Play of the Weekend. All of that coming up and more here on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, the king of horses, and coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Give me 60 seconds and I'll show you why you should be buying silver and how to get started. Recent price spikes in groceries, healthcare, gasoline, steel, and lumber tell the story of inflation, as do raging bull markets in equities and housing. As the reality of all this inflation sinks in, investors will be acting quickly to diversify and protect themselves, their families, and their assets. That's why we're offering our Silver Starter Kit to help you get started in holding tangible wealth. This mix of our most recommended forms of silver includes 9 silver coins, totaling 4 troy ounces of fine silver. These pure silver coins have a low bid-ask spread, the difference between the price you pay to buy and the price you receive to sell. Low transaction costs are one reason Investopedia calls Money Metals the best dealer in America. Don't waste any more time. Start protecting your savings today with physical precious metals at moneymetals.com/go.
All right, it may be a new year, but it doesn't mean you have to back off any of your goals as far as losing weight. I know I've been working even harder on it, and of course I get an assist from BMI Telmed. They help us out with our New Year's resolutions, even if I've already broken 2 of them. Not the food ones, though. Weight loss is your goal. Get with BMI Telmed. They use GLP-1 medications, and they are individualized, and that's the great thing. I've been through this, and Charlie, just talking to him, it was so great to make him understand, and he understood what I was doing. It's not about just losing weight. It is about keeping it off. You know that. We're all excited about the new year, and we're going to lose weight, but when you lose it in the first month, then you got to keep going. BMI Telmed is sensible. It's straightforward. It's affordable. No contracts or hidden costs. BMI Telmed is donating $1 for every pound you lose to the Florida Victorious Foundation. So go Gators. I'll join the listeners on this podcast who've already lost over 600 pounds. Are you kidding me? I'm 60 of them right there. All right, contact BMI Telmed today at 727-383-1677.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, and coming to you from the Dooley Dome here, but brought to you by Meldon Law. All of our places where we do the show is from. It's great to have Robbie on for an extended segment today, and we talked about it before why, but it's great to have Robbie on for a little bit. And I know Robbie was like me. You and I were the only two people probably that didn't go to the Morgan Wallen concert and watched a lot of baseball and golf over the weekend.
You've got that right, Pat. I'm wondering, is the head ball coach on tour with him now after his intro the other night? It was a big hit.
Yeah, he may be, but he's actually up in South Carolina to go into a Hall of Fame. So again, my streak stays alive and not getting into any Hall of Fames. And
Yeah.
Spurrier, I think Spurrier's up in the like 20s or 30s, something like that.
Yeah, he's going to lose count of his.
Yeah, at some point you just got to go. That's enough. I don't need to go in anymore.
Yeah, but Pat, those concerts looked unbelievable. The atmosphere and all. And until like last Monday, I'd never heard of the guy.
Well, I knew of him,
Yeah.
just because of controversy. But actually, a friend of mine, Matt Lerner, offered us, who's a sponsor here, offered me 2 Touchdown Terrace tickets because they got canceled. And we kind of toyed with the idea. And I go, the bottom line is I can't name one song.
Can't either.
Kelsey had played me one, and it was okay. And
Yeah.
look, they did I Won't Back Down. That is really cool that he did that. I did point this out, though, in my column for the Main Street Daily News, Robbie. Florida's record against Power 4 teams since that tradition started is 25-12, which is not great.
Too much backing down, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And not only that, but in the fourth quarter last year is when Florida scored the least amount of points.
I know.
So, I mean, they do back down. The trouble is, it's an elite thing that they do. It's great. I love it. I love that the fans love it. But you got to have good players and good coaches. You're not going to win.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're heading in that direction now under Summerall. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. That's exactly right. But that was fun to watch the baseball this weekend. And again, LSU, I'm not going to share the text I had with Sully after the game, but man, it's bad over there right now. It's amazing to go from national champs to you're not going to make the tournament.
Yeah, and Pat, I really got into the games because, I know Florida was kind of on the bubble with postseason and all, and also because LSU to me has become such a hated rival of Florida's, and especially that baseball team. It's been I can't stand LSU in baseball. It was fun watching them hammer them the way they did.
I know. I mean, they've got a good offense, but their pitching is terrible. And
Oh yeah,
it
was
does. I don't think that's something that's easy. I mean, this is the place where Paul Skeens pitch. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
but
And every time LSU made a little bit of a move, Florida would answer with 4 or 5 runs of their own. It was like they had no answer from their pitching perspective. It was awful.
yeah, you're absolutely right, Robbie. That was what I was noticing, especially I can't remember, I think it was Cade Curlin got a big hit in the second game or whatever after they had come back and they got a hit and scored. He had a hit and scored a run, but everybody hit pretty good. Florida actually hit for the weekend 318, which is
Wow.
not bad.
And I think they had 13
10
home
bombs.
runs. Pat, 13 home runs.
That's what I thought, but then every stat I see says 10, so I thought it was.
Yeah. Well, double figures. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the announcers, and you watched it on the Plus like I did.
Yeah.
That's painful because all you get between innings is crowd shots
Yeah,
and
people-
waving and the little games they're playing. You don't
Yeah.
get.
They did show some Florida fans a few times, so
Yeah.
that was kind of cool.
And I'm sure they enjoyed it. A sweep
Yeah.
of LSU, and then of course softball. expected, like I told everybody, it was a kind of a soft regional, but they did their job. They got the job done.
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw that Georgia Tech's overall record was barely over 500, I figured that, they're gonna advance through here no matter what. And, they kind of did what I thought they'd do. They swept, the 3 games and got out of there.
Well, it's like somebody, Scott Hart, who used to be a sponsor here, but also as I know he listens to the show, was saying, Texas State, not that bad. They beat Texas A&M and Texas Tech this year. And I go, yeah, but you got to look at, I was thinking to myself, you got to look at the whole schedule, and they did not finish strong.
Yeah.
And they certainly were no factor here in games.
Yeah. But I think the one fear about them coming in is they have a really good pitcher, one really good pitcher.
Yeah.
I guess she didn't get it done this weekend. So
I guess not. Yeah, I mean, they lost a lot of two close games, but Florida never saw them.
Florida's hitting lineup is very impressive, though, Pat. They're fun to watch.
Yeah, they are. It's going to be an interesting super regional with Texas Tech coming in here. I mean, I pointed this out in the first segment. They've got the number 2 batting average and the number 4 ERA in the country. And I'm like going, well, why weren't they seeded higher? But they lost a lot of the games. And look, they fell down 8-0 to Ole Miss. Their comeback was epic. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It turned the game off and gone to something else. But the bottom line is they did fall back 8-0. So
that says something about you when you do that, Pat. So they're going to be a tough out for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Let's talk a little bit about the golf. I don't know what your take was on the PGA Championship.
Pat, I thought it was really fun to watch because the leaderboard was so stacked with big name guys, and everybody was close. Like at one point, there were like 27 golfers within 3 or 4 shots of the lead there on Saturday late. But on the final day, it was like hard to make birdie. Scheffler, he missed so many short putts. If he played like he normally does, he probably would have run away with that tournament. But that just shows you with golf, you never know what you're going to get. And to me, the course was the star of the weekend because that place was tough.
Yeah, that's the thing. I thought Sunday was a letdown, to be honest with you.
A little bit, yeah.
As packed as it was, I wanted Scheffler and McIlroy to be in the mix. And like you said, Scheffler couldn't make a putt. McIlroy couldn't hit it in the fairway.
Yeah.
And they never were a factor. And so Justin Thomas posts that score early, though. It just didn't. And I mean, look, Aaron Rye, I think is a great story.
It is a great story, but I was really, really happy for him. I thought it was, he's a great champion, and what a great story. And I've read somewhere today where his parents still wish he had gone and become a doctor instead of a pro golfer. So that's what he's dealing with.
He just won a major.
I know.
He's set for life. I mean, get into everything now,
Yeah.
Well, doctors make a lot of money too, though.
Yeah, they do.
Hey, the thing is,
the doctors make that putt that he made on.
They wouldn't make 68 footers.
Yeah.
Although I think that was about the length of the putt I made in Lexington that day.
When you were loaded?
Yes.
You aim for the hole in the middle.
Aim for the hole in the middle, yeah. That was a classic. But yeah, no, it's, I would rather be a pro golfer than a doctor, I'll tell you, because I don't like the sight of blood.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm with you. I'd rather be outside playing golf.
When we're watching the pit, Karen and I, we're like, we have to look away. Unfortunately, we always do it while we're eating. We're like old people. We're sitting there with our tray tables.
At 4:30 in the afternoon?
Yeah, 4:30. It's great. We'll watch the pit and then go to bed.
But yeah, I heard the pit's really good. I haven't started it yet.
Oh, you'll love it, Robbie. It's great.
I never watched ER though when it was on back.
You don't have to.
Okay.
There are a couple of things that I look at and I go, Noah Wiley's doing the George Clooney head down,
Yeah.
He always does that. He's always looking down. Noah Wiley caught that from him. But I think it's terrific.
Jill loved it. She went through that in a hurry.
Yeah, I'm jonesing for more of it. Actually, I finally watched The Naked Gun second one the other night. So
was that any good?
It was actually. I laughed out loud a lot.
Liam Neeson, was he good?
He was good. It's not like the movie you want to. You're not going to remote drop it. But I laughed out loud enough. That's all you need.
Yeah.
You need to laugh, Robbie.
Yeah, like the original Naked Guns. Anytime they're on, I'll watch them because you're laughing
yeah.
through the whole movie. I mean,
I did like
Leslie Nielsen's unbelievable.
I did like when the guy who was in the he's going. Everybody's looking at their dad, and Liam Neeson's dad is Frank Drebin, and then they go to the other guy, and he goes, "Nah," because it's O.J. Simpson's dad. He's like, "Oh, nah, I'm not going there."
I saw that highlight. It's funny.
All right, Robbie, let us go ahead and move along to our Campus USA Play of the Weekend, and I did not see this coming.
Okay.
It happened again last week or a couple of weeks ago where Hayden Yost just went yard. And there he goes, his third homer of the game, and it was a bomb.
It really was a bomb, Pat.
3 homers in one game. I mean, you don't expect that.
Isn't he the number 9 hitter, Pat?
Number 9 hitter. There are 8, 9 hitters hit 5 homers together in that game. So
you got that going on, you're going to win games. So.
Yeah, and again, LSU can't pitch, so that's an interesting factor going forward. But if they can get 1 through 9, which is what they're hoping for, to be solid, they who knows what they can do. But I still don't have a feel like Florida baseball or Florida softball is going to their World Series. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think baseball has a shot. I think they both have a shot, though, Pat. And I think that what's his name, Liam? What's his last name?
Peterson. Yeah,
that was encouraging the way he performed in the Friday game. To go the whole 7 innings and in control the whole way, and he looked like he had really good stuff and was in command of what he was doing. And I think that was a good sign for Florida going in deeper to the postseason.
Absolutely, but that's the thing when you get into the postseason, and even though you're going to be at home, and it's just a matter of do you make the plays? Do you make it's just going to be a play here and a play there. You're not going to overwhelm anybody.
Pat, I usually would say that playing at home would help, but if they host a regional, that would help. But they haven't been good at home. But so maybe that's a good sign going to the tournament, SEC tournament. They're on the road, kind of. Maybe they'll play better.
13 losses at home, 5 on the road, Robbie.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. I cannot explain it.
Can't do it.
Part of it's the midweeks, and they've not been very deep in their pitching staff, but also, they've been really good on the road. They're 1-0 in neutral sites, so maybe they do.
Yeah, maybe that'll be a good thing. But some people I've heard talking about how the home games this year there hadn't been a lot of energy in the crowd for some reason. That maybe they're expecting bad things to happen or whatever, but there's been no real energy or noise or anything like that to get their guys pumped up.
I think there's a little bit of people go to those games which is great, and they're packing the place, and they go because it's an event, and they just kind of sit there and enjoy it and then drink their $18 beer and whatever they're doing, but they're occupied. But sometimes I'll watch people and they're on their phone during a pitch.
They're not watching the game. You're right.
But hey, it's not up to us to fire the crowd up, and we aren't there cheering them on anyway. So for very
you play better at home, and maybe the crowd will get into it more. So.
Well, that's part of it. I think when you lose 13 games at home, you're gonna have a hard time.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie. It is time for what we always do with you on Meldon Mondays, and that is to play our game Yes, No, Where. Maybe, of course, Robbie coming to you on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line, and of course, Yes, No, Where Maybe is brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak Street Dining, done the right way. Go in there and get any of the kind of food you want, and if you talk about this podcast and how you saw way too little of Robbie Andreu. You need more Robbie Andreu. You can get free fries with your order. All right, Robbie, number 1 on Yes, No, Where Maybe. You had love bug problems this weekend.
No way, Pat. I don't know what it is. I mean, I heard that the love bugs were all over the place at softball games and all that stuff during the weekend, but I hardly saw any. And I mean, even this morning when I drove out of town to the dump, I didn't see any of them then either. So for some reason, I don't know, maybe they don't like me, which is a good thing.
Well, it is a good thing, but I'll tell you two quick stories on this because we had problems with it. So a couple of days ago, or I guess 3 days ago, I got the fire ready to light, and we decided to cook somewhere else. So yesterday I go, well, I'm going to go light the fire. Oh, that fire's still in there. Well, we had some rain. I'm wondering if it's going to
Yeah.
light. So I said, well, let me light it and see what happens. So I'm sitting there watching it, and all of a sudden, bugs are flying everywhere. They were all love bugs had nested there, and they were all going.
Oh my God.
And it
Yeah,
was really
I heard it was unbelievable. So far, I haven't really had. Which now I'm probably going to run into them all over the place the rest of the week. So,
yeah. It's really
but
well.
so far, so good.
Karen and Kelsey's cars are both white, so they were all over. They were literally all over the car. I mean, they
Yeah.
were alive, but they were anyway.
But yeah, if you drove to Tampa or somewhere now, you would be plastered with them. It would be unbelievable.
And that was kind of a big story on the softball game because at the bottom they said the weather was love bugs, but they were all over the field over there too.
Yeah, that could be a big distraction, I would think, if you're trying to focus on your game, and all of a sudden you got them all over you.
Now we'll find out that you have engineered these love bugs to only go to the opposing dugout.
Yeah, conspiracy theory sounds good.
All right, Robbie, number 2 on yes, no way, or maybe. You like the fact that Florida just got another big commit, a defensive lineman, and his nickname is Big Sandwich.
I love Big Sandwich. I mean, I love that's a great name. And remember Coach Jones, Dick Jones?
Yeah.
There was the big defensive tackle from Jackson. They called him Ham Sandwich. And so I love that. And he loved it too. He called him Ham Sandwich. So now it's good to have another sandwich on the team, and maybe that'll be a sign of better things to come.
I thought it would have been. I wrote this in my somewhere. I can't remember all the things I write now, but I wrote it that it would have been great instead of tweeting out a Gator, like Summerall does. He would have tweeted out a ham and rye or something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Or maybe a public sub.
Yes. Boy, now you got me hungry for a public sub.
Yeah.
That may be
We had one yesterday. They're great.
Woof. I'm ready to go get some to eat. All right. Let's get to number 3 on yes, no way, or maybe with Robbie Andreu. Florida's track team got overlooked again this week.
Well, yeah, absolutely, Pat. They get overlooked all the time. I mean, you look at what Mike Holloway's done with that women and men's program. It's unbelievable, and he doesn't get enough credit for what he's done and what they've done. But think about it, Pat. Of all the years you worked at the Gainesville Sun, did you ever cover a UF track meet?
One.
Okay, and did you ever do like a big feature on a track person? Maybe once or twice, maybe only.
I did one on Holloway after I think he'd won 8 or something.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, how many SEC and national titles has Holloway won? Mouse Holloway. How many have he won?
Well, the girls won 8 SEC.
Yeah.
I don't know all the numbers, but they've won a lot.
It is what it is, Pat. It's track and field, which if it's not an Olympic year, nobody's paying any attention to you. But, it doesn't seem to bother them. They go out and perform great and win all the time. So as long as they're happy and winning, that's all that matters. But, yeah, they get overlooked all the time.
Yeah, I think it's like swimming,
Yeah, it is. It's exactly like swimming.
If people said, oh, there's a big swim meet this week, they wouldn't even know where to go,
No.
So I think that's part of it. But track and field is not a sport that's conducive to wins and losses. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. No.
Oh, we got a big meet against North Carolina this week. Who's going to win?
Yeah.
Maybe they need to figure that out. I'll work with them on that.
But yeah. But yeah, they're always overlooked, Pat. So I think they're used to that a little bit.
All right. Well,
We're
not used to having Robbie for this long, but it's great that he was able to do this, and we appreciate it so much.
Yeah, Pat, my pleasure.
All right, we'll be back with more of another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios right after this break. Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. About the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
By now, you heard about the Florida Legends Experience and Gala, featuring Gator Heisman greats Tim Tebow, Danny Warfel, and Steve Spurrier, all in one place at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Imagine catching a pass or taking a handoff from a Heisman winner, all while supporting Isaiah 117 to help provide safe, loving homes for children in need. Then enjoy an unforgettable evening at the Gala, filled with great food and lasting memories. Don't miss this historic event. Find out how you and your business can get involved at fllegends.com. That's fllegends.com.
Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging and coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Appreciate Robbie for coming on last minute notice. Hey, we got a lot of good guests coming up, and Coach Spurrier will be back, I hope, Monday. I assume so, Monday, as far as I know he is. And we'll have fun with that. All right, let's get to all of our fun stuff in the third segment as we always do. Starting off with our Adams Ribco Gator of the Weekend. Adams Rib Company, the place to go for all your barbecue needs. We love it there at Adams. We still have a bottle of hot sauce we've been using. Actually, used it this weekend because we had some barbecue that we made. All right. Our Adams Ribco Gator of the Weekend. Again, a lot to choose from. I could have picked a lot of different people. But I went with Keegan Rothrock. And again, she's been Adams Ribco Gator of the Week multiple times, but she had been struggling. And look, if I'm going to rip her, I'm going to honor her. And I wasn't ripping her, I wasn't being mean, but she was struggling. And she just wasn't getting people out. And she did this weekend. She pitched 15 of the 17 innings Florida played this weekend. Of course, they got a couple of run rules. And that's what she's going to have to do this weekend as well. She's going to have to be really good, and she's going to have to be as elite as the other two pitchers, and they're going to help her when they can, but they're probably going to lean on her pretty hard because she's their stud, and they really don't have a second pitcher. But look, the bottom line is, got it done in the regionals again, and Keegan Rothrock is our Adams Ribco Gator of the Weekend. Let us move along to our Leonardo's of Millhopper Quick Pick, brought to you by our friend at Leonardo's of Millhopper, where you can get a dual sandwich. It's the best. All right, let us go ahead. We're going to give you two chances to qualify here because we got another one starting. We'll start off with, how about this game? We got spreads now because the games are, we know who's playing, is what I was trying to say. The Knicks playing Cleveland. Knicks favored by 7.5. So you got to bet the spread. Knicks 7.5 point favorite over Cleveland. I think people think we're heading for Knicks Thunder, and it may be. Hopefully some of those games are on real TV and I don't have to stream them. Look, I don't mind streaming the Gators, okay? Gator baseball, I do it all the time. Gator softball, I don't think Gator basketball I have to anymore. But I'm not going to stream an NBA game because I don't want to watch the first quarter. I don't care what happens in the first quarter. And the second quarter, it's okay. And by the third quarter, I'll probably bet by anyway. That's just me. But I still, the stream, I would get into the game if I was watching on just cable. That's all I'm saying. They don't have to care what I think, but I'm telling them what I think. And then Florida baseball, win or not on Wednesday. Don't forget they play on Wednesday. We don't know who they're playing, so I can't say Florida versus Kentucky or Florida versus Vanderbilt. Do they win or not? Most of you will probably say yes. Who knows how much they're going to put into this? But I will say this: we have learned one thing. If you're gonna play in a conference tournament, go try to win it. But you've got to win it within your parameters that are comfortable to you. Because don't forget, you're going to have to start playing next week. And if you probably would be Friday, I assume it would be Friday. But if you have to play all the way through Saturday, that sets you back a little bit. Guys get tired, We'll see. Look, just go play your hardest, do what you can, see what happens. But anyway, that's our Leonardo's of Millhopper quick picks, two of them. Knicks minus 7.5, Florida, do they win in baseball Wednesday or not? All right, let's move along to our BMI Telmed Overachiever of the weekend, brought to you by our friends at BMI Telmed, the place to go for weight loss. Achieve and maintain. Call them at 727-383-1677. Tell them Pat Dooley sent you, and you get a discount on your order. All right, our BMI Telmed Overachiever of the weekend is Nashville, the city of Nashville. You know why? The stories come out, and they're gonna vote on it tomorrow that Nashville's gonna get the Super Bowl in 2030 with their new stadium that's supposed to be ready next year. That's pretty cool. I got to admit, now I will say this. It is going to be a little hectic in Nashville. I've been to Super Bowls, and it's crazy. And I've been to Nashville, and it's crazy on bachelorette weekends. I can't imagine. Now, what if you had scheduled? Well, I guess you wouldn't schedule that far in advance, to 30. But let all the people that might be getting married in 2030 know, don't go to Nashville the week of the Super Bowl because you'll be crazy. But anyway, they're the overachievers, and that is a great move, great ability to get that. But they too tend to give it to new stadiums. I wonder if Jacksonville will get another one ever. I just wonder, because it was such a kind of a disaster, to be honest with you. People were not impressed with Jacksonville. They built some things up. They're doing more. And the stadium will be different. So I don't know, maybe. We'll see. All right. Let us, as our BMI Telmed Overachiever of the weekend, let's get to our Hesser and Kipkey 3 things. Hesser and Kipkey, with over 50 years of combined legal experience in North and Central Florida, Hesser and Kipkey is your place for bankruptcy, workers' compensation, and family law. Call or text Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920, Hesser and Kipkey. Okay, number 1 on Hesser and Kipkey 3 things. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander repeats as the most valuable player in the NBA. Okay, that's cool. He bought everybody these great coats, all his teammates and everything. That's cool. They're really good. He's really good. But every time I see him, all I can think about was that he was committed to Florida at one point. I don't know how many of you know that. Most of you probably do. He was committed to Florida back when he was just Shai Alexander. And he was coming to play for Billy, but moved along. And I mean, look, everything went good for him at Kentucky, and everything's gone good for him in the pros, but just I never can. Even every time Kyle Tucker comes up, I think, God, what if he had come? Because he eschewed college for the pros. That's just me. I'm weird that way. All right, let's get to number 2 on our Hesser and Kipkey 3 things. Game 7 in the NBA last night of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Another dog game. I didn't watch it, as I mentioned, but it was a dog game, blowout. I wish I could watch more of Donovan Mitchell and guys like that, but I just can't get into I don't have any dog in the hunt. We've talked about that. I don't need to talk about that anyway. Cleveland advances. They'll play the Knicks. That'll be exciting. I think it'll be fun to watch. I hope it will be. I'm going to try to watch as much as I can. But it will. I just feel like a lot of these. And why is the home court advantage, bigger in the NBA than it is anywhere else? It just feels like it is. Like I mentioned earlier, the stats on I won't back down, but everybody who's struggling has that problem. Auburn is a tough place to play, yeah, except when they lose, when they don't have the players and the elite talent. But in the NBA, maybe that's again. They've got a great coach and an elite player and great players around him, and that's why they always win at home. It is what it is, and it's that way with the Knicks, and it's been that way with Cleveland this year too. So anyway, it was a dog game though. Let's get to number 3 on our Hesser and Kipkey 3 things, and I was encouraged and permitted by my friend Ken Hesser. We were texting back and forth to talk about Paul McCartney on Saturday Night Live, because there was a lot of criticism of him, and I really I would not be among those who was doing that. His voice is not there. We all know that. He's 83. See what you sound like at 83. Let me tell you. Hey, Jude. Hey, Jude. Don't let me down. Look, I thought he did a great job. He sang 3 songs on Saturday Night Live and did Band on the Run. I got literal goosebumps when he broke into the main thing. Dun, 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 playing the acoustic. He wasn't playing the acoustic, but they were playing the acoustic. Yeah, he was playing the acoustic. Anyway, I thought it was tremendous. That band is great. It's always been a great. I'm pretty sure the guy from the Red Hot Chili Peppers was playing drums because he started the show with Will Ferrell, and it was a great band. And I thought I was entertained. The show that night, and I'm a big SNL fan, was not great. There were some real cheap jokes. Started out good and then kind of went downhill. But anyway, if you want to go look at it, if you don't get goosebumps, that's fine. We just won't be friends. All right. Hesser and Kipkey 3 things, as always, elite stuff on the Hesser and Kipkey 3 things. Let us move to our Los Linderos smart move of the weekend. It is brought to you by our friends at Los Linderos Tequila. Go beyond with Los Linderos like an Urban Meyer special teams play. Smooth move of the weekend, there's no doubt who that is. Aaron Rodgers, right? I don't know what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to talk about it or communicate with anybody, and I may show up in Pittsburgh and still not show up anywhere. And the Steelers go, hey, we're going to put this weird UFA thing on you, and you got to make a decision by a certain time, blah, blah, blah. And then what happens? Aaron Rodgers signs with the Steelers. So coincidentally, right around all these NFL games that have come out, maybe somebody told somebody something about him coming back, but I think just the possibility that would come back. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers guy, but it'll make the NFL way more interesting with him at quarterback versus Will Howard. I'm sorry, it does. If you want to root for him or against him, it's going to be interesting. But that's our smooth move of the weekend. Let us move along to our Learner Law Club Team of the week. Of course, club teams are all done now until the fall, but we want to send shout out to all of them that participated in club sports. They're important. And look, there's a chance one of you may end up being a regular varsity sport. But we just want to give them a shout out, and we appreciate Matt Lerner, Learner Law, for all he does to help the club teams. And of course, the Atlanta Hustle, there's still tickets available for their home opener, which is coming up. You can watch them. And like I said, I watched TV the other night. It was really actually fascinating. All right, that is our Learner Law Club Team of the week. Let's get to Mark Gaida presents the 12, brought to you by our good friend Mark Gaida at Pepin Realty. He does a great job, and you can get the 12. And I've got some plans for the 12. And I got to check with Mark and make sure he's good with it, okay? Well, one thing I want to do, like, for example, I talked about I won't back down. I want to list the 12 best Florida wins since they started playing I won't back down. See, there's a good one. I want to list stuff like that. 12 best games, 12 best this, stuff like that that's coming up. So if Mark's okay with it, we'll do that all summer until we get to the point where, we start having college football to talk about, preseason polls and stuff. That'll be in August. So we got a couple months to go. All right, the 12 today will be the men's RPI again. I know we've done it before, but the men's RPI is really interesting right now because we're about ready to have Selection Sunday. It's coming up Sunday. So the men's RPI right now, and I don't see it changing a whole lot unless somebody went on a run and jumped a couple of spots. But it's a body of work now, 56 games. I think in Florida's case it was 55. But here's what it looks like right now. UCLA still number 1. Georgia Tech is number 2. Georgia Tech has the most quad wins of anybody. We have been saying that about Florida. Unfortunately, the Gators played LSU. You're not getting any quad 1 wins there because they're down so low. But Georgia Tech now has the most. Auburn is number 3. Texas is number 4. Sounds familiar. Texas bad in anything? Like Florida's bad in women's basketball, right? And maybe Tammy Reese will get this turned around. We'll see. But what else? What is Texas bad in? I want to find that out. North Carolina is at 5. Alabama at 6. So they'll be they could end up being the 1 seed in softball and a top 5 seed in baseball, or 6. FSU at 7. Southern Cal at number 8. Florida at number 9. Now the interesting thing there is right now, if you just go strictly by RPI, if Florida would host a regional, but then they would have to go to LA for a super regional if they won and USC won. It's just something to think about. I mean, don't worry about it, but think about it. Number 10 is Nebraska. Number 11 is Texas A&M, and Mississippi State is number 12. Think about that. Georgia won the SEC, right? Won the best conference. They're 14th. They just didn't schedule well or win a lot of non-cons, and I don't know how you deal. I don't know how you deal with Florida. I don't know the committee's got its work cut out for them this year. Whatever they come up with, we're going to sit there and pick it apart. But the bottom line is, I don't know how I would seed everything. I have an idea, and maybe that'll be next week. Smart Guy to presents at 12. I'll say, here's what I would have done. But no, next week will be where they actually end up. Okay. Anyway, all right. Let us wrap it up as we always do with our Swamp Games of the Week. And you want to go to the Swamp Restaurant because it has amazing drink specials, amazing food, and you can go there and watch amazing TVs because they have big TVs, big screens all over the place to watch all the games. All right, let's start off Wednesday. Florida plays at 2. That means Florida does not play at 2. No SEC game starts on time unless it's the first game of a session. From that point on, nothing starts on time. So at 2-ish. But kind of a fun way to go. Again, Florida versus either Vanderbilt or Kentucky. They'll be on the SEC network. That sounds like a good way to. We'll have a late lunch and go watch the Gators play baseball, or maybe an early happy hour at the Swamp. That's on Wednesday. Don't forget tonight we start San Antonio at Oklahoma City. It is 8:30 on NBC. That game is. That NBA playoffs. Tuesday, you got Cleveland at New York is 8 o'clock on ESPN. And again, they're going to just alternate from that point on. We'll give you the other ones later on. But also, baseball, Toronto at New York, Yankees, 7:05 on TBS on Tuesday, okay? And then tonight, for those of you who are watching today or getting the show today or this evening, if you haven't watched it yet, and it'll be on a lot, the All Access from the spring for Florida football is on the FCC network at 7 o'clock tonight. If you get, but it'll be on a bunch, and you'll be able to find it. Of course, golf. We'll wait and see what happens with Florida in the regional. I don't know how much TV I looked it up, and it said what it was, and it made no sense. What the channel was. It was like, I can't remember what it was. It was really weird. I'm like, I've never heard of that. I don't think I could talk about it yet. Anyway, we'll see what happens, and it'll be another fun week of sports. Hopefully you guys are going to be into softball and baseball and golf. I am. NBA playoffs, I'm going to try to get in. I really promise. This time, I'm going to promise to get into it. I've watched a little bit. And we'll be back with another show on Thursday. Blake Topmeyer. Look forward to talking to him. Be all talk college football with Blake. We'll have a good time talking to him. All right. Thanks to Zach for dealing with me today. We appreciate everybody who has anything to do with the show, and especially Robbie for coming on short notice and doing an extended version. That was really fun. We always love talking to Robbie. All right. I am Pat Dooley for another Duly Noted podcast, presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. I am deep, I am way back, and I am out of here.